respect. Respect is not something you are born with. It is a monument you build brick by brick through raw effort and competence. To make a woman respect you, you must first become a man that society respects. This means building your value, having a mission, a strong body, a sharp mind, and financial independence. I didn't become a world champion by accident. I earned it through thousands of hours in the gym. If you are not prepared to work, you will suffer and you will remain invisible. True respect comes from refuse to tolerate disrespect. I have left dates mid-meal because a woman was insulting me. I told her to pay for her own food and walked out. A man who stands up for himself is infinitely more attractive than one who takes insults just to keep a girl around. If you let her text other men or talk down to you, she is testing your caliber, and if you fail, you are finished. In any functioning relationship, there must be a clear leader. Society might tell you that relationships should be 50-50, but nothing in the world works that way. Not a corporation, not the military, and certainly not a household. Responsibility and authority are inextricably linked. If I am the one who has to go downstairs and risk my life if someone breaks into the house, then I have the authority to expect a cup of coffee. You cannot have the responsibility to protect and provide for someone without the authority to lead them. If a woman refuses to listen, I no longer consider myself responsible for her. A man's value is determined by his ambition. Women don't want a man who is stagnant. Even when I was a struggling fighter, I had loyal women because they could see my drive. They knew I was a safe bet for the future. The modern dating market has been globalized by social media, making male attention a devalued currency. In the past, a man gave attention to get sex, and a woman gave sex to keep that attention. Today, even a basic woman gets endless attention from Instagram. To stand out, you must either be a high-value male whose attention is rare and valuable, or you must weaponize your attention by refusing to give it away for free. The friend zone is just a place where men throw away their attention for zero return. Women are motivated by emotion and fun, not just cash. They want a man who can facilitate an exciting life, solve their problems, and make them feel important. You can do anything to a woman except bore her. Even hate is a better emotion to provoke than apathy. Ultimately, every man is searching for loyalty. Without loyalty, a woman has no value. I have slept with many women, but the goal was always to find a good apple, a woman who will visit me in jail, nurse me when I'm sick, and raise my children with pride. You cannot find that woman by biting only 2 or 3 apples. You have to become an expert at the game. You must go through the breakups and the shit tests to become immune to the nonsense. The point of being a player is to level up so that when you finally find a woman worthy of your soul, you know exactly how to lead her and keep her forever. Marriage and family are beautiful things, but you'll never succeed at them unless you first become a man of such high caliber that your leadership is never in question. The world does not care about your feelings. It only cares about what you can provide and how much pressure you can withstand. You must understand that as a man, you are born with zero inherent value. A woman is born with value, but a man must forge it in the fire of struggle. You need to become a person of such immense competence that your presence alone shifts the room. This isn't about being lucky. It's about being so prepared that opportunity has no choice but to find you. When people see me, they see the cars and the jets, but they don't see the decades of discipline that made those things inevitable. If you are sitting around waiting for a sign to start working, you've already lost. The sign is your empty bank account, your weak frame, and the fact that nobody knows your name. That is all the motivation any real man should ever need to get to work. Power is the only language the universe truly respects. You see men complaining about the system or how the game is rigged, but these are just excuses made by people who are too lazy to learn the rules and win. If the game is rigged, then learn how to rig it in your favor. Money is a tool of freedom, but it is also a scoreboard. It tells the world exactly how much value you have managed to extract from the marketplace. If you aren't making money, you aren't solving enough problems for enough people. It is that simple. You need to move with a sense of urgency. Every second you spend scrolling through someone else's life is a second you aren't building your own. Stop being a consumer and start being a producer. Producers run the world. Consumers just pay the bills of the people they admire. Your circle is your destiny. If you hang out with 4 losers, you are going to be the 5th. You need to find men who are faster, stronger, and richer than you. And you need to earn your place at their table. Competition is the greatest stimulant for growth. I want my friends to win because their wins push me to win bigger. If I see a brother buy a new villa, I don't feel jealous. I feel the fire to go out and buy an entire island. That is the mindset of an apex predator. Most men are terrified of competition because it exposes their weaknesses. But a real man seeks it out because it's the only way to find out what he's truly made of. You should be in a constant state of self-improvement, physically, mentally, and financially, until you become a version of yourself that your past self wouldn't even recognize. The ultimate goal of all this struggle is to achieve total autonomy, to be able to say no to anything that doesn't align with your vision. Most people are slaves to their boss, slaves to their debt, and slaves to their own weak desires. True success is when you have built a life where you are the sole architect of your reality. This requires a level of discipline that most people find repulsive. They want the result without the process. They want the crown without the weight of the throne. But the weight is what gives you the strength to wear the crown. Embrace the boredom of the grind, embrace the isolation of the climb, and eventually you will stand at the top looking down at a world that you conquered simply because you refused to stop moving. If you walk through life feeling like you have nothing to prove, you are already a loser. You owe everything to your bloodline, to your ancestors who dodged saber-toothed tigers and survived plagues just so you could be born. You owe it to God, who gave you 2 arms, 2 legs, and a mind. God hates the lazy. He wants to see the beauty of his own creation through your achievements. When I walk into a room, people feel my energy, not because they know my name, but because of my brutal competence. It is an evolutionary trigger. Just as a rabbit smells a fox, humans recognize a predator. I have hundreds of millions of dollars and 4 world titles, yet I wake up every day feeling like I have more to prove. Kings conquer land to prove they are kings, while peasants sit back and say they owe nobody anything. I am here to prove my ideas are sound and my actions are absolute. If you are not rich, if you are not strong, you are finished in the coming decades unless you take drastic action now. The secret to the universe is simple. If you genuinely try your best, it is impossible to lose. People love to say, as long as you tried your best, it doesn't matter if you lost, but that is a lie. If you lost, you didn't try your best. You had excuses, you wasted time, and you prioritized rest over results. I am a billionaire from a council state because I actually tried my best. Losers are arrogant. They make excuses for every wasted hour on social media or napping. A successful person is haunted by the feeling that they haven't done enough, while a lazy person thinks they're working too hard. We do 20 times the work and still feel guilt over a missed call or a missed flight. You cannot fail if you perform, regardless of how you feel. If you don't have the house, the car, or the woman you want, it is because you haven't been trying your best, period. Being a man is exceptionally difficult because you are born without inherent value. Society doesn't care about you until you become useful. You have the chance to build yourself into a superhero, but only if you are indefatigable. We are in constant competition with every other man on earth. It is your duty to be strong, important, and God-fearing. Society is teaching men to be over-emotional, and that is dangerous. A traditionally masculine man does his duty regardless of his feelings. He charges into a burning building because he must. When you teach men to act only on their feelings, you get violence and chaos. Stoicism is the cure. You are going to feel bad sometimes. Suck it up and perform anyway. Don't blame others and don't cry for sympathy. You have a chance to escape the matrix through truth and hard work, but you have to decide if you want to be a slave or a conqueror. The core of my message has always been about uncomfortable truths. We live in a world where the matrix is real, and it relies on your compliance, your ignorance, and your willingness to be an empty vessel for its programming. With great power comes great responsibility, and I take mine seriously. I get thousands of emails every week from men whose lives have been saved because they finally heard the truth. I believe in protecting and providing, in being a positive force that empowers people to live righteously. To live righteously means being true to your heart, not lying, not snaking people, and taking absolute personal responsibility for your outcome. The government is not coming to save you. In fact, it is incapable of helping the poor. If you want to be happy and contented, you must understand that the universe is a giving place, but only to those who work hard and refuse to accept the identity of a victim. As a man, you are born with no inherent value. This is a cold, hard fact. You have to become important through pain, suffering, and effort. If you walk into a room and you put zero effort into your life, nobody is going to care about you. We all share the same masculine journey, getting heartbroken, being unimportant, working hard, and eventually gaining clout. If you stay at the bottom and complain about being depressed at 44, that was your choice. You decided not to build yourself. My mission is to teach you to resist the slave mind. Every belief you hold has an agenda behind it. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Did I learn it through experience, or did the news tell me to think it? Most people are just programmed bots, but the people who make the rules don't make them for your benefit. They make them for theirs. You must become perspicacious. Keep your brain open and pay attention to how the world actually works. Men and women are a beautiful union, and when they work together, they are the most powerful force on the planet. I believe in love, marriage, and family in the traditional sense. A man has a duty to provide and protect, and for that, he requires a degree of authority within his household. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to, because I work hard enough for both of us. There are thousands of women who stand by me because they want a man who feels responsible for them. We live in a time where traditional masculinity is being shamed, but there is still a massive contingent of men who want to be strong, drive fast cars, and make money. They don't want to be modernized into weakness. They want to be men. I don't believe depression is a clinical disease you catch like the flu. I believe feeling depressed is a signal that something is wrong in your life. Taking control of your mind is the only power you have against these feelings. If you accept the identity of a clinically depressed person, you hand over all your power to change. I've lived a difficult life, and my friends with PTSD have seen the worst of humanity. But the ones who feel better are the ones who wake up and decide to fight. If you fix the problems in your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, you won't feel depressed anymore. Personal responsibility is the only cure. Money isn't everything, but it is the third most important thing in the world after your health and your relationships. Money buys everything else, and it provides the freedom to protect those you love. The average guy is a dead concept. In the 1950s, you could be a law-abiding, hard-working citizen and have a good life. That world is gone. Today, if you just obey the laws and do your job, you will be taxed into infinity and stay broke forever. You are being set up to be a peon, a slave for eternity. You need to understand money. If you don't know how banks work, how real estate works, or why the last housing crash happened, you are failing yourself. Go on YouTube and learn for free. Stop paying 50 grand for a useless degree and start having conversations about money. Money is like the water cycle. It is always moving. It doesn't sit in stagnant pools. It flows from one place to another. If you can find a way to stand in the right place at the right time, you're going to get wet. We are in an attention economy. If you can get attention, you can make money. You must adopt the habit of identifying how your money is taken from you. Every time you spend a penny, analyze the transaction. When you buy a coffee for £6, ask why you chose that shop. Was it the advertising? Was it the lack of a line? How did they convince you to spend money on what is essentially flavored water? When you start analyzing every transaction, you begin to see business opportunities everywhere. You realize the importance of signage, the speed of service, and the quality of the staff. Most people walk through life with their eyes closed, following the circus. It's a clown world because people refuse to use their brains. They don't look at which businesses are succeeding or how the world is shifting to benefit them. They just consume. To escape, you must stop being a spectator and start being a strategist. The masculine experience is defined by a series of universal paradigms, and one of the most brutal is the inevitability of heartbreak. Most men are born unimportant, go to school, fall in love, and then watch as that girl chooses someone older, richer, or stronger. This experience breaks most men. They latch on to mediocrity and accept a lifetime of sadness. But the differentiator between a loser and a man of standing is how he uses that energy. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be converted. If you are sitting around wallowing in self-pity or wasting your life on mindless distractions after a breakup, you are a failure. Heartbreak is the ultimate fuel. It is unlimited motivation. When I was 20 and lost a 4-year relationship, I didn't sleep. I hit the gym at 6 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. I had nothing else to do but fight. I took that trauma and molded it into becoming a world-level combatant. You have that same energy, but you are wasting it. God made your girl leave you for a very specific reason, to show you that you aren't worth anything yet. He wanted to remind you that you are human, fallible, and easily replaceable. If you were a man of absolute standing, she wouldn't have left. Or if she did, it wouldn't matter because your value would be undeniable. God is sending you a message that the man you currently are is not good enough. If you ignore this message and refuse to change, the cycle will repeat. You will fall in love again, and she will leave you again because you haven't learned the lesson. You deserve the pain you feel right now. You deserve the loneliness. It is your job to look at your life, realize you've been a dickhead, and do something about it. God loves to see his creations realize their true potential by trying their absolute best. Until you become the man you were supposed to be, the universe will continue to break you. Most men who are heartbroken have the motivation to send 300 desperate text messages to a girl who doesn't want them. That is the wrong application of energy. Imagine if you took that same drive and sent 300 cold emails for a new business, or did 300 sets in the gym. The greatest accomplishments of my life have come directly after periods of intense heartbreak. I call it fuck you energy. The only valid revenge on a woman who leaves you is massive, undeniable success. You don't get even by being angry, you get even by leveling up so high that when she sees you a year from now, she realizes she made the biggest mistake of her life. You want her to look at you, rich, powerful, and respected, while she has gained 50 pounds and realized her options have dried up. That is when you win. Success is the only response to trauma. As a young man, you will get your heart broken, and it is a gift if you use it correctly. Because men gain their value later in life, the work you put in now during your darkest hours will pay dividends in your 30s and 40s. I love it when women from my past try to come back around. Not because I still want them, but because it confirms that I told them so. I proved my worth while they stayed stagnant. Don't seek revenge like an incel. Seek excellence like a king. Put a plan together for your pain. If trauma is coming, make sure you have a framework to channel it into your business, your body, and your mind. I walked away from women I didn't want to lose because they wouldn't respect my authority. It hurt, but I didn't waste a second wallowing. I used that pain to build the empire I have today. Motivation is a myth. It is a fleeting emotion that fails when the weather gets cold or the grind gets boring. People who achieve greatness don't train because they feel like it. They train because they are disciplined. If you only do what you feel like doing, you end up a mediocre nobody sipping soy lattes and scrolling through other people's successes. A man does what he is supposed to do, regardless of his emotional state. This is the fundamental difference between a man and a child. You have a duty to not be a fat, lazy piece of shit. You have a duty to turn up on time, be sharp, be smart, and be charismatic. I come from the old school where discipline was the only path. And even in today's world where people stumble into luck, the true marker of a man remains his ability to act when he least wants to. If you lack energy or motivation, it's not because you don't have it. It's because you're pointing it at the wrong things, obsessing over girls on Instagram or road rage. You are being decimated by the bread and circuses of the Matrix. You have 10 years left to save your bloodline from eternal slavery. And if you can't find the fire to work now, you are born to lose and you deserve to be poor. Envy, when used correctly, is a powerful tool for elevation. Most people see someone more successful and try to drag them down because they are too lazy to climb. When I saw Ferrari as a kid living on a council estate, I didn't hate the driver. I became obsessed with breaking the matrix to get one myself. Now I have 33. I turned envy into anger, and anger into power. Your mentality is a direct reflection of your reality. If you have a weak body, a weak bank account, and a weak social circle, your mind will naturally be weak. You doubt yourself because you are incompetent. The only way to stop doubting yourself is to become competent and perpetually succeed. Competent men want to work and organize their lives. Losers want fun. Fun is where all the negative outcomes live. Drugs, violence, and wasted time. I am boring because I sit at my computer and generate millions, while you are out having fun and staying broke. Discipline is the only way to discover your true talent. You could be the best in the world at something, but without the discipline to master the boring repetitions for 15 years, you'll never even know it. The second half of this mastery is the development of your philosophy and vitality. You cannot achieve success if you neglect the vessel that carries you. Some people feed their racehorses better than they feed themselves. Your appearance is a major reflection of your internal state. Do not listen to those who say people shouldn't judge you by how you look. They do, and they will. Beyond the physical, you must cultivate the spiritual and mental. Feed your mind with a library. Every home of value has a library, because serious students of life understand that knowledge is the foundation of power. If you read so little that you have rickets of the mind, you will never be able to defend your virtues or values. You must become a serious student of your own life. Keep a journal. Write down every valuable thought and lesson you encounter. Do not trust your memory with the blueprints of your future. Mastery is not glamorous. It is the constant refinement of the self. It takes years of mental development to reach a point where you can go from pennies to treasure. Start by teaching your own mind. Use books, videos, and deep conversations to stir your heart and capture the magical answers that reside within you. This simple instruction, to be disciplined, to be vital, and to keep a record of your growth, is what changes a life forever. You have the life force inside you. The question is whether you will continue to waste it on temporary distractions, or if you will finally knuckle down, focus, and build the platform required to save your last name from eternal serfdom. The gap between the elite and the masses is closing fast. You can either look down from the clouds as a master of your reality, or you can watch the hole close from below. The choice is yours, but time is running out. Everyone in this life gets exactly what they deserve. We all start at the same point, whether rich or poor, running toward the top. The faster you run, the stronger the air resistance becomes. This pressure, this weight of stress, problems, and the need to decipher truth eventually breaks most people. They stop where they are, settling for a basic job or a middle management life, because they cannot handle the burden of moving further. Even at the top, the pressure is so immense that most famous and wealthy people stop looking into the abyss. They refuse to see the truth because the game is too heavy. I am at a point where the weight is crushing. I used to say everything I knew, but now I only share about 30%. Because if I told the full 100%, the game would be over. The world is awake to the corruption. Everyone knows the money is being stolen, the taxes are a scam, and the wars are lied about. Yet, nothing happens. People sit online typing about knowing the truth while they continue to work for and fund the very systems they claim to hate. They think they are freedom fighters while they spend hours scrolling through TikTok. The reality is that since the dawn of time, every generation has felt like the world was ending. From the fall of Rome to the world wars, empires crumble and limp forward. The only thing that has ever resisted enslavement is a band of brothers, good, brave men who stick together. I push masculinity not to be a tough guy, but because it is the only real resistance to enslavement. We are the first generation in history without warriors. When I stand at the front and say, "Let's go," most men just call me a sellout while doing nothing themselves. Masculinity is the answer, and if we don't get our balls back before AI takes complete control, it's over. The elites who run this show are not dumb. They are incredibly intelligent and conniving. They take half your money, waste it in front of your face, and you still give it to them. They own your property through zoning laws and taxes. If you don't pay, they take it. You are a slave. They use divide and conquer to keep you subdued, making Republicans hate Democrats, pushing feminism so men and women hate each other, and using race to create friction. At the top, there is no such divide. A Saudi billionaire and an Israeli billionaire have no problem with each other. They have dinner and talk, while the people at the bottom shoot each other in the face. These elites, many of whom are anonymous families, spend hundreds of millions on art just to hide it in their halls. They rule the world while you follow the circus. Every idea you hold is a Trojan horse. They want you to believe what they promote, so you end up exactly where they want you to be. The algorithm is specifically designed to manipulate you based on your profile. For the average man, the system pushes him away from marriage and children, so he remains childless, weak, and easily controlled. For me, they want me to get married so they can use a weak link, a wife they can lean on, or a lawyer who can take half my money. They take something beautiful like marriage and poison the center of it. The real question you must ask is, why do they want me to believe this? If you don't allow your enemy to attempt to manipulate you, you'll end up in their trap by accident. Even love and movies are corrupted shows. At a certain point of awareness, you either laugh or you cry. I've reached a point where I don't believe anything anymore. I can't even argue with my girlfriend without wondering where her ideas were planted. My hardest battle isn't staying alive, it's staying sane while refusing to accept the lies. Boredom is the most dangerous thing a man can face, but I have the opposite problem. I'm in a constant state of high adrenaline anxiety. I quit drinking years ago because I don't need action. My life is an international incident every time I walk into a restaurant or board a plane. My dream is to be bored, to have a day where nothing goes wrong and no one messages me. I live with the constant threat of arrest or assassination, and my primary responsibility is to stay alive for the people who need me. This is why they don't want you to have kids. When you have children, you have a reason to defend your society and your ancestral land. Children are your future. They are the primary biological objective. Without them, you are just a nobody scrolling through an algorithm. I am not concerned with being happy. Happiness is a shallow goal. A man's job is to be useful, capable, and competent. I would rather feel 100 times worse if it meant knowing 100 times more. I gave up on the idea of happiness long ago. When people ask how I feel, I tell them I'm busy. Spiritually, I feel needed, and that is enough to keep me going. I have a massive life where hundreds of people depend on me, and providing for them is my purpose. Most people who make a lot of money sell out long before they ever see the abyss. I could have taken the money and stayed quiet, but I chose to look into the dark. I may be paranoid, but I will never lose my edge. I will stay competent, I will decipher reality in real time, and I will fulfill the role God put me here for, regardless of the suffering it requires. I am tired of hearing men complain about how they feel. I don't feel motivated, I don't feel inspired, leave the feelings to the girls. Men are defined by action, not emotion. The world was built by men who felt scared, exhausted, and broken, but they got the job done regardless. If you aren't going to the gym or working on your business because you don't feel like it, you are a piece of shit. This once again ties into your network. If the people around you tolerate your weakness and offer sympathy when you say you're sad, you are hanging around the wrong people. In my circle, there is no room for weakness. If I told my brother Tristan I felt sad, he'd tell me to shut up and get back to work. You need to create a reality where your feelings are irrelevant to your output. If you cannot force yourself to do things you don't want to do, you will never endure the suffering required for greatness. A man must do what he is supposed to do, irregardless of how he feels. I was raised in a disciplined household where I don't want to wasn't an option. I learned that there are boundaries you don't cross and that actions have consequences. People call me a sociopath or a psychopath because I don't let my emotions dictate my behavior. But they don't understand that a high-level man can feel things and still not give a fuck. If I am sad, I still go to the gym. If I am angry, I still run my business. I spent 15 years fighting with broken noses and injuries because I had to. I don't put importance on emotions because they don't change the schedule. Whether I wake up happy or distraught, the work remains the same. I used my fear of losing, fear of looking like an idiot, and fear of brain damage to drive me to train harder than anyone else. You need to use the fear of being mediocre to fuel your fire. Most people stay losers because they've been programmed by the Matrix to believe that being average is fine. I refuse that slave mind. I am exceptional, and I will have an exceptional experience of human consciousness because I am willing to do the work myself. If you are in a rut, it's because you are comfortable. When you fall asleep on your arm and it gets uncomfortable, you move. If you are broke and staying broke, it's because the pain isn't sharp enough yet. When I had no money, I couldn't sleep. I was ungrateful to the universe and to God for wasting the consciousness and body he gave me. God favors those who try. If you gave someone a Ferrari and they treated it like shit, you wouldn't be happy. God gave you a mind and a body. Why aren't you using it to become rich, powerful, and protective of those you love? You make your own luck by dedicating yourself to the universe. Even if your rain dance doesn't bring clouds, it might attract another tribe that sees your effort and brings you water. There is no such thing as working too hard. I train every single day, not just for the physical benefits, but as a mental exercise to prove I can do what I don't want to do. If you can't out-discipline me, you will never out-compete me. The reason you aren't rich is one of three things. You're stupid, you're lazy, or you're arrogant. Most often it's a combination of laziness and arrogance. There is no one watching this who is too stupid to get rich, but most are too lazy to learn and too arrogant to listen to someone who has already won. When I meet losers, they always have an excuse or someone else to blame. The Matrix, their upbringing, their feelings. They lack self-accountability. If you save 100% of a $100 case salary, you'd have to work a lifetime just to buy one of my 30 cars. This proves the Matrix must be cracked. The system is designed to oppress men because we are the backbone of the slave force. If you follow the rules, you will end up in debt, divorced, and dead with nothing to show for it. I am not telling you to break the law, but you must learn to bend it and live like the elites do. This is the easiest time in history to get rich because so many people are being destroyed by the system. Money has to go somewhere. It goes to the winners who are busy winning.